Lopez, and I was in the United States Marine Corps. I'd gotten hurt in the military with like back and stuff like that, but never really anything serious. But I was in a motorcycle accident. We were heading up to Milwaukee, some friends and I, we were riding. And as we were taking an exit, a truck came up behind me a little faster than it should have been. And as I tried to correct, I took my hands were all basically up here on the throttle. When I moved my hand, the skid plate on my glove caught my throttle. And so as the bike throttled up, naturally the centrifugal force on the bike wanted to stand the bike back up into the concrete barrier. I was able to kind of ride it and slow myself down, in the process tearing up this leg. I kind of spent a month in the hospital. Finally they had me in like traction with the little bars and screws and everything in there, and then they finally cut above the knee. Left it open, and then a couple days later sewed everything back up after everything was clean. And then after that I went to rehab for a week. Got home, I was home for about a week and a half, and then there was an infection that was occurring. So then I got really sick, I had to come back, had to go through another surgery, and then I waited, I was about a week stay in the hospital. I have some friends that work at the VA, so while I was in the hospital, they came to visit me, got my name, got my social, and they started the ball rolling for a lot of things that were to come. So by the time I'd gotten out of the hospital the second time, I already had an appointment to go see the person who does the prosthetics, which I can never say the word.
So a prosthetist orthotist is a certified healthcare professional who measures and fits and fabricates artificial limbs and orthopedic bracing. First, we start with the patient's residual limb. We take either a cast, scan, or really good measurements of the limb, and from there we form a positive model. Once we have modified the positive model to have the contours and shapes we need for the prosthetic socket, we drape hot plastic over the model to form a test socket. The test socket is clear, so you can see through it. We try that on the patient, make sure it fits well. We can heat and modify it to get it fitting perfectly. And once we're happy with the test socket, we go to a definitive lamination. Then we can mount the socket on a prosthetic knee and a prosthetic foot. We have them ambulate in the parallel bars. We get all of the components aligned and working correctly, and then they get to physical therapy to do their gait training.
He started at the Autumnal Clinic at the local CBOC, kind of pre-socket, check socket fitting, just kind of getting on a program for upper body strength and a little bit of lower body strength. And then first visit for above knee amputee, really make sure that his hip flexor is getting stretched properly so he doesn't have tightness in that, which is going to impact his walking later. He's super easy to work with and receptive to all of the treatment plans. So that first session where we didn't have his socket yet, he took all that and ran with it on his own, did all the stretching, did all the strengthening, and he hasn't had any like back pain, which is kind of a common sometimes as you're initially using your prosthesis complaint. And then just weight shifting inside the prosthesis, making sure it's a good fit. So then we went to learn how to swing his knee. So above knee, you've got to learn how to properly de-weight it to unlock it to swing it through, or else it'll just kind of get stuck and drag and you can fall.
He has an Autobach Genium X4 knee, which is fairly new. It only came out a few months ago. So it's a microprocessor knee, which means it has a lot of sensors and an onboard computer. So the sensors gather all the information from where the knee is in space to tell the knee how to work. Do we need to swing? How fast do we need to swing? Are we walking slow? Are we walking fast? Are we walking backward? And it makes all these changes in real time.
I thought because this wasn't a service-connected injury that I wasn't going to be able to get help through the VA. And the VA was totally opposite. They're like, no, you're already in our healthcare system. You're already a disabled veteran. Like, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that everything's fine. Immediately, even while I was just transitioning out of the hospital, they were coming by and doing quotes to build a ramp, so they built a ramp. I had companies come in and put like rail systems throughout the house, setting up the shower and things like that. I had other family come in and help as well. And but the VA like stepped up in a big way that was really kind of unexpected. I figured that they would help some, but not to the extent that they have.
A lot of people think that the fancier the technology, like the fancier the knee or the fancier the foot, the more functional they're going to be. But it's actually kind of opposite. It's the person, the patient themselves, who determines their functional level based on how hard they work, their motivation, their drive, their own strength, how much time they put in.
It's a whole retraining. It's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. Because in my mind, I just expect that I'm going to be the best at everything that I do. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to get up. I'll be running in a month. I'll be back on my motorcycle again. And it's been slower than expected, but it's been rewarding.
He's got a really open mind. He wants to take feedback and suggestions. So if you give him like a drill where he stands at the countertop and just works on swinging, unlocking his knee and swinging it through, he'll do it and you'll notice the improvements the next session.
We don't see people of his high functional level that often, or the people with his drive and motivation to get up and get going and really push it to the limits. So it's been really fun to see and to witness that.
I wake up every day and I try to, make my bed metaphorically for the day and how I want that day to go. And so I think that's made this whole journey 1,000 times easier. I guess I could find reasons and feel compelled to sulk and feel sorry for myself, but all it does is put you in a further hole. So if I could tell anybody anything, it would just be, just check your attitude every day. Check it every hour until it becomes a lifestyle change.